Hello, my friends. It's Ezra Levant again. I am coming to you from the streets of Toronto again, but my news pertains to the city of New York. Our reporter, Anna Slatz, who was arrested last night improperly. She was swept up by police cracking down on the curfew. Sorry, let me just tilt this. Even though journalists are exempt, so she was swept up in a great sweeping of the streets of New York and thrown in jail. She called me last night, had about 60 seconds on the phone to tell me that she was being charged with breaking the curfew. She told me where she was being held, and then that was it. That's the last time I spoke to her. I immediately got on the phone, and it's been almost 24 hours now, and she still has not had her arraignment, as they call it. We have 3 lawyers in New York City and 2 lawyers in Toronto working on it, as well as the Canadian consulate in New York City, who have been very helpful, I should say. And yet I just received word not 10 minutes ago that Anna will not face a judge today, and it's in the most trivial matter. In fact, it should be dismissed summarily. In fact, the summons should be ripped up right there on the spot. But not only will she not have her hearing tonight, it will not be at least until tomorrow, and who knows when thereafter. So we have had, for the past few hours, a lawyer literally standing in the courts. And we've also had Yankee Pollock, a colleague of mine and Anna's, who drove down today from Montreal to be there when Anna gets out of jail. He and our lawyer were there at the court, and the clerk said, "Sorry, lads, we're done for the day. Try again tomorrow." In fact, our second U.S. lawyer, our second New York lawyer, just sent a message saying the paperwork hasn't even left the DA's office, the district attorney's office, which is crazy. But the explanation provided by the clerk is that, number one, things were at a very slow pace because of the pandemic. And then you throw in hundreds of people arrested at once. And by the way, the court is in the middle of a riot zone. You put all these things together, and apparently there are 100 people in Anna's position. So incredibly, whereas in normal times she would have been released that night. That was certainly the advice of our first lawyer we retained. He said, "Oh, this is just a summons, it's a minor thing." Now I'm just literally right now I'm getting a message from lawyer number 2 to lawyer number 3 saying the courts are open till 1 a.m. No need to leave right now. So I didn't know that. I'm not a New York lawyer. I don't understand the criminal courts. I guess that's where they got the concept for night court on TV. So apparently if the courts are still open to 1 a.m., which I literally got that message flash across my screen right now as I'm talking to you. 10 minutes ago, lawyer number 3 said, we don't have the paperwork. We won't have a solution till at least tomorrow. But now lawyer number 2 chimes in and says, whoa, wait a minute. Court is open till 1 a.m. I didn't know that. I mean, here in Canada, you don't have court that's open till 1 a.m. Not that I know of. So I guess that downtown New York criminal courts, it could well be one of the busiest courts in the country. So lawyer number 2 is saying to lawyer number 3, don't go home just yet. There's still a few hours left in the day, which is a very good point. Isn't that interesting? You learned something. So we're going to keep waiting and hoping for the best. Yankee is down there. We've got him a hotel room, obviously. We had hoped that Anna would be released today. That's why we sent Yankee. In fact, I was worried. Not worried. It was a good worry that Anna would have been released before Yankee even got there. He drove down from Montreal, a 6-hour drive. So just to recap, Anna is not yet released from jail. My advice when I started this live stream was that there was no chance today until tomorrow morning. My advice coming through in the middle of this live stream from lawyer number 2 was, no, court's still open till 1 a.m., so there's a chance. But it's just a chance because I understand that there are 100 other cases in this same position, first of all. And second of all, I understand the paperwork has not yet left the district attorney's office. and that's necessary for the prosecution. I was advised that people generally have 24 hours, a right to a hearing, a habeas corpus, as they say, where the government's got to make the case for their detention within 24 hours. Well, it's coming up on 24 hours, and I don't know if that 24 hours will be extended because of the riots and the pandemic. I don't know if there's a pandemic clause that suspends the U.S. Constitution, or a riot clause that suspends the U.S. Constitution. In fact, I put it to you that that's perhaps the most important time for the Constitution to come to play. I'm not, however, an American constitutional lawyer, and we have some of the best criminal lawyers on the file. They'll make all the best arguments for us. So let me close it there, and I may have more information for you for tonight, because if in fact this court is open till 1 a.m. and we get a hearing, and God willing, well, either way, if that happens, I'll let you know how it's resolved. So to conclude, we are nearing the end of the first 24-hour period of Anna's arrest. We have 5 lawyers on the file, 3 in New York, 2 in Toronto. We have the Canadian consulate in New York City on the file. The problem is the pandemic plus the riots have slowed things to a crawl. Approximately 100 other cases are in the queue along with ours. Paperwork hasn't left the DA's office, so Anna's not yet free. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think this could mean a second night in jail for a reporter. But let me tell you some good news, which I heard earlier tonight. The CPJ, the Committee for the Protection of Journalists, put out a press release in support of Anna being freed from jail, which is incredible. That's a very prestigious and prominent free speech organization, free press organization, and it's fitting that they do so because it's an American jail in which Anna Slatz sits. But it's also a pitiful statement on Canada's so-called free speech organizations, none of whom have uttered a word or even a tweet about Anna's arrest and imprisonment. Of course not. Even though Anna, frankly, is left of center while she works for the rebels, so to jail she goes. That's my report. Guys, I got to tell you, I think we're going to need some more money for lawyers. I'm not going to tell you what the fees of some of these guys are, but first of all, it's in American money, not Canadian mini-bucks. And second of all, we have them literally on standby at the court. Looks like it's going to be for another what? I mean, what time is it right now? The court's going to be open for another 4 hours. I don't want to even tell you how much that's going to cost to have a lawyer just lounging around. So I think we need to raise a little bit more money. As I've said before, if there is any surplus in our crowd fund, we're just going to give it to Anna as a kind of danger pay bonus. So if you're worried that you're going to be over contributing, don't worry, because any surplus will go to Anna. But the legal fees are going to be much higher than I first thought. I first thought, all right, we're going to have some skirmishes in the court and then some follow-ups, and we'll have this thing summarily dismissed, and that's maybe 5 hours work. That's what I thought. So we thought, you know what, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, take care of it. We're now heading into day 2, and even just standing by the court costs money because these lawyers have to be paid. They're excellent. They're senior lawyers, and you can see at least one of them, or you can see 2 of the lawyers on my TV show tonight, which we've taken out from behind the paywall. It's on our YouTube channel and rebelnews.com. I'm just seeing another note coming through on my screen here. The courthouse had locked down with more officers than I've ever seen before. That's lawyer number 3 at the courthouse, mentioning how there's just so many cops at the courthouse itself because it's right in the eye of the hurricane. Our friend Yankee Pollock is down there with his cell phone, so maybe he'll take the phone now. Oh, sorry, we had a bit of we lost connection for a second there. I'll give you another update if there's more news. Please help us out at saveannaslatz.com. ANNASLATZ. SLATZ, as our American friends say. I think we're going to need, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I think we're going to need probably 10,000 Canadian dollars because our U.S. costs are going to be at least $7,500. It's just going to be. That's what it's like when you got this many lawyers trying to get a gal out of jail. All right, that's it for me. If you can go to saveannaslatz.com and chip in, I'd sure appreciate it. And I know she would. The irony is we haven't had a word of communication since our 1-minute phone call last night. So I'm sure she doesn't even know what we're doing on the outside, and we don't know what she's doing on the inside. Hopefully she'll be free soon. Thanks, everybody.